Have you ever wondered how to fly a Cessna 172? Let's dive into the world of aviation and explore one of the most celebrated small aircraft in history. The Cessna 172, a four-seater, single-engine, high-wing airplane, has been a staple in the realm of general aviation since its first flight in the mid-20th century. Known for its remarkable reliability and straightforward handling, the Cessna 172 has earned a reputation as the go-to aircraft for both novice pilots and seasoned aviators. Its versatility is truly astonishing, serving a myriad of purposes from flight training to leisurely jaunts, even playing a crucial role in air taxi services and personal transportation. The Cessna 172's enduring popularity stems from its forgiving nature, allowing pilots to hone their skills in a safe and manageable environment. Its rich history and widespread usage make it a truly iconic figure in the aviation landscape, so are you ready to take a closer look at the Cessna 172 and learn how to fly it? Before any flight, a pilot must conduct a thorough pre-flight inspection. This principle is as true for the Cessna 172 as it is for any other aircraft. The pre-flight inspection is a vital step in ensuring the safety of both the pilot and passengers. Now, let's talk about the checklist for conducting a pre-flight inspection. The checklist is a pilot's best friend. It's a comprehensive guide to ensuring the aircraft is in the best possible condition before taking to the skies. First on the list is fuel. Checking the fuel involves two steps: quantity and quality. Ensure the tanks are adequately filled and the fuel is free of contamination. Next, we check the oil level. This is crucial for the smooth running of the engine. The oil should be within the green arc on the dipstick, indicating the right amount. The propeller is our next stop. Look for any nicks, cracks, or oil leaks. Remember, the propeller is what propels you through the air. Any damage could have serious consequences. Moving on, we come to the control surfaces. These include the ailerons, elevator, and rudder. These control the aircraft's movement in flight, ensure they're free of damage and move freely. The landing gear, though often overlooked, is vitally important. Check the tires for any wear and tear and ensure the struts have the right amount of inflation. Also, the brakes should be in good working condition. Other crucial components to inspect include the engine, exhaust system, and the aircraft's overall structure. Look for any signs of wear, corrosion, or damage. Last but not least, don't forget the cockpit. Ensure all instruments, controls, and safety equipment are in working order. Remember, the pre-flight inspection is not just a box-ticking exercise. It's an opportunity to get familiar with your aircraft, understand its condition, and ensure it's fit for the journey ahead. And that's it for the pre-flight inspection. It may seem like a lot, but each step is crucial for a safe and enjoyable flight. A thorough pre-flight inspection ensures the aircraft is in good condition for flight. So before you take to the skies in your Cessna 172, make sure you've ticked all the boxes on your pre-flight checklist. Once the pre-flight inspection is complete, it's time to start the engine. Our first step is to prime the engine. This ensures that there is enough fuel in the cylinders to facilitate starting. We do this by pulling out the primer knob and then pushing it back in. Next, we turn the ignition key to the start position, just like you would in a car. You should hear the engine begin to turn over. Once the engine is running, we need to check the engine gauges. We're looking for two things here. First, the oil pressure gauge should be in the green zone. This tells us that the engine is getting enough lubrication. Second, the tachometer should be showing a steady idle RPM, usually around 1000. If everything checks out, it's time to adjust the throttle to set the engine for taxiing. With the engine running smoothly, we are almost ready to take off. Now that the engine is running, we can taxi to the runway and take off. Our journey begins with taxiing, the process of moving the aircraft on the ground from the parking area to the runway. Steering a Cessna 172 on the ground is not like driving a car. Instead of a steering wheel, we use the rudder pedals. Pressing the left pedal turns the nose of the aircraft to the left, and pressing the right pedal does the opposite. But what about speed control? That's where the brakes come into play. To slow down, we gently apply pressure to the top of the rudder pedals, which are also our brake pedals. Remember, smooth and steady does it. We're not in a race here. Before we proceed to the runway, it's essential to check our surroundings. We need to be aware of other aircraft and ground vehicles. Safety is paramount, and it all starts with a good look around. Now we're ready for takeoff, but first, Let's set the flaps. The flaps on a Cessna 172 are used to increase lift at slower speeds, like during takeoff and landing. We set them to 10 degrees for a normal takeoff. Next, we position the aircraft at the start of the runway, ready for the exhilarating rush of acceleration. With a final check of our instruments and a deep breath, we smoothly apply full throttle. As the aircraft picks up speed, we keep it straight with gentle rudder adjustments. As the speedometer reaches 60 knots, it's time for the magic moment. We gently pull back on the control yoke and the nose of the aircraft rises. The wheels leave the ground and we're climbing, we're flying. The world drops away beneath us as we ascend into the sky, the roar of the engine a comforting sound. It's a moment of freedom, of exhilaration, of pure joy, and just like that, we're airborne. Once you're in the air, there are a few key procedures to follow. The moment you've been waiting for has arrived. You're soaring high above the ground, piloting a Cessna 172. Now, there are a few in-flight procedures you need to be aware of to ensure a safe and enjoyable flight. Firstly, maintaining altitude. The Cessna 172 typically cruises at altitudes between 3,000 and 6,000 feet. Your altimeter is your best friend here. It's crucial to keep a close eye on it and make minor adjustments to your pitch as needed. Remember, the throttle controls your altitude, while the elevator controls your speed. Next, we have navigation. In the Cessna 172, you'll use a combination of visual references and your navigation instruments. The VOR, or VHF omnidirectional range, helps you to stay on your planned course, while your GPS can give you a real-time update of your position. Now, let's not forget about communication. In aviation, good communication is key to safety. Your radio is your lifeline, connecting you with air traffic control and other pilots. Regularly update air traffic control on your position, altitude, and intended actions. Clear, concise, and correct are the 3 C's of aviation communication. In addition to these, you'll also need to monitor your engine instruments regularly. Keep an eye on your oil pressure and temperature, as well as your fuel levels. If anything seems out of the ordinary, don't hesitate to communicate with air traffic control. Lastly, always be prepared for the unexpected. Practice emergency procedures regularly and know your aircraft's limitations. It's also important to stay ahead of the airplane, thinking about your next steps before you need to take them. In-flight procedures might seem overwhelming at first, but with practice, they'll become second nature. Remember, safety in aviation isn't just about following the rules, it's about understanding why those rules exist and how they help you to maintain control of your aircraft. By following these procedures, you can ensure a safe and enjoyable flight. All good flights must come to an end, and that means landing the aircraft. We've navigated the skies, enjoyed the views, and now it's time to bring our Cessna 172 back to Earth. The key to a good landing is a steady approach, so let's unpack the steps to ensure a smooth touchdown. Firstly, as you approach your destination, gradually reduce your speed. This begins with a reduction in power, bringing the throttle back to around 1,500 revolutions per minute. This reduction in speed is crucial. It allows for a more controlled approach and helps you line up perfectly with the runway. Next, begin your descent. The Cessna 172 should descend at a rate of about 500 to 700 feet per minute. Keep an eye on your altimeter and vertical speed indicator. Feel the aircraft's response to your inputs and adjust as necessary. Remember, you're not just flying the plane, you're feeling it. As the runway nears, it's time for the flare. This is an art in itself. The flare is that moment when you level out just above the runway, bleeding off any remaining airspeed while maintaining altitude. It's a delicate balancing act, requiring a gentle touch on the controls and a keen eye on your surroundings. Finally, it's time for the touchdown. Aim to land on the main wheels first, with the nose wheel following suit shortly after. The aircraft should be almost stalling as it touches down, ensuring the lowest possible speed and the gentlest landing. Maintain your direction with the rudder, and as the speed decreases, gently apply the brakes. Remember, practice makes perfect. Every landing is a chance to learn and improve. The approach, the flare, the touchdown, every part of the landing process is critical and demands your full attention. With a smooth landing, your flight in the Cessna 172 is complete. So next time you take to the skies, remember these steps and you'll be touching down like a pro in no time. Flying a Cessna 172 is an exciting and rewarding experience. We've journeyed through the pivotal stages of flight, from the meticulous pre-flight inspection to the exhilaration of takeoff. We've navigated the complexities of in-flight procedures and softly touched down with a successful landing. Each step in this process is crucial, a dance with the clouds that requires precision, knowledge, and skill. With these steps, you now have a basic understanding of how to fly a Cessna 172. Safe travels and happy flying.